The phone rang at 8:47 p.m., and Susan's life tilted on its axis. Caller ID showed Miss Rachel from the foster care agency. She never called this late.
Miss Rachel? It's late. Is Sophia okay? Susan, I need you to look at a link I am sending. There's a GoFundMe campaign for Sophia. It claims she has cancer. Cancer? That's impossible. Sophia is perfectly healthy. Who would do this?
Susan opened the link on her laptop. The screen filled with her daughter's face and a headline she couldn't believe. The page read, "Help my granddaughter fight cancer." Below, a photo of Sophia smiling with a story about chemotherapy.
Rachel, this is a lie. Sophia has never been sick. Someone made this up. I know. I've already flagged it to GoFundMe, but look at the donations. Susan, they've raised over $14,000.
Susan scrolled down. The campaign had raised $14,000 in 3 days, all based on a lie, and the foster agency was now watching. 3 weeks before the fraud shattered her peace, Susan Reinhardt was baking cookies with a 7-year-old who had just started calling her mommy. The kitchen smelled like vanilla and safety.
Mommy, can I crack the egg?
Careful, sweetheart. You are getting so good at this.
Then her phone buzzed on the counter. The caller ID read, "Betty Reinhardt."
You are still playing house with that foster kid?
It's not playing house, Mom. I'm adopting her. Sophia is my daughter.
Adopting? A troubled child you barely know? This will ruin your life.
She'll never understand. She never wanted me to have this.
After the call, Susan immediately set her Instagram to private. Then she blocked her mother's number, but Betty's final text arrived before the block went through. "You'll regret shutting me out, Susan. You need me more than that child does." Betty sat in her dim living room, scrolling through Susan's Instagram on her tablet. The photos of Sophia smiling in the garden, baking cookies, holding a crayon drawing.
Such a happy little girl. She has no idea what's coming.
Her finger paused over a close-up of Sophia's face, then tapped Save Image. The screen confirmed the save. She did it again and again. She refreshed the profile. The screen now read, "This account is private."
She blocked me. That ungrateful girl blocked her own mother. I have enough to work with. Now I just need a story that will make everyone believe Susan is a monster.
She closed the tablet and sat in the dark, the glow of her phone illuminating a slow, cold smile.
You'll regret this, Susan. I'll make sure of it.
She opened a notes app and began to write. The plan was cold, calculated, and designed to make Susan pay. 2 nights later, Betty sat at her computer and opened GoFundMe. A blank campaign screen stared back.
A sick child pulls heartstrings, and everyone gives to a dying granddaughter.
She uploaded the stolen photo, then crafted the headline, "Help my granddaughter fight cancer." She typed a story so detailed it felt clinical. Stage 3 lymphoma, weekly chemo, an urgent plea for surgery money. She set the goal at $20,000 and selected medical as the category.
By the time Susan notices, it'll have spread everywhere. Good luck stopping it.
She clicked Launch Campaign, and the fraud went live to the world. Within hours, the first donations appeared. Then it gained momentum. By the 3rd day, the campaign had raised $14,000 from strangers who believed the lie.
14,000. That's more than I could have hoped for. Now we'll see who needs whom.
3 days after the campaign went live, Miss Rachel was scrolling through Facebook when a colleague's share stopped her cold.
That face? It's Sophia. What kind of sick joke is this?
She clicked the link and read the fraudulent story. Her professional instincts screamed. Without hesitation, she picked up the phone and dialed Susan's number.
Susan, it's Rachel. There's something you need to see immediately.
The call lasted 7 minutes. Rachel heard Susan's voice crack, then turned to steel. When she hung up, Rachel immediately opened a fraud report form. This was going to be serious.
My mother. It has to be her. No one else would do this.
Susan paced the kitchen, the weight of the revelation pressing on her chest. $14,000 raised on a lie, and the only suspect was the woman who gave birth to her.
I won't let her destroy this. I won't let her take Sophia from me.
Susan picked up her phone and dialed the number she'd blocked 2 weeks earlier. Her fingers trembled.
Susan? finally came to your senses and unblocked me.
I know about the GoFundMe. Tell me you didn't do this. Tell me it wasn't you.
Why would I deny it? I am helping my granddaughter. Someone has to think about her future.
She doesn't have cancer. You stole her photos and lied to hundreds of people. Take it down, Mom. Right now, before this gets worse.
Absolutely not. That money is for a good cause. You should be thanking me for stepping up.
Susan's hand tightened around the phone until her knuckles whitened. She was done pleading.
If you don't take it down by morning, I'll report you for fraud. And I mean it.
Go ahead. Report me. See who the police believe, a real grandmother or a woman who can't even keep her own child.
Susan ended the call and dialed Rachel. Her voice was raw, but she didn't hesitate. Rachel already had GoFundMe's fraud report page open. She typed without looking away from the screen.
I am submitting the report now. Send me every screenshot you have, especially the messages from Betty.
Susan forwarded the text from Betty, the campaign link, and screenshots of Sophia's stolen photos. The evidence was damning. Rachel submitted the report. The screen flashed. Fraud reported successfully. Within the hour, the GoFundMe campaign refreshed to show a bright red banner. Campaign frozen. Rachel didn't stop there. She called the foster agency director, who immediately contacted the state attorney general's consumer fraud unit. The director made the call. The case was now officially under investigation.
It's frozen, for now. But this is far from over. We've done everything we can tonight. But Susan, this won't be quick. Betty will fight back.
The consumer fraud unit called. Susan sent everything: the campaign, stolen photos, and Betty's bitter text. 2 investigators sat across from Betty. She wore a practiced, polite expression.
This is all a misunderstanding. I was just raising money for my granddaughter's expenses.
Susan provided screenshots of every text exchange. Not one message mentioned health concerns.
Look at the messages. Not once did she ask about Sophia's health. Just criticism.
They're twisting my words. I can't let them see I am nervous.
The investigators pressed further. Why hadn't Betty contacted Susan directly or the foster agency?
My daughter blocked me. I had no way to reach her. I was desperate to help.
Susan's evidence was exhaustive. The timeline, texts, and stolen photos proved deliberate fraud.
She's lying. They know it. But will the system move fast enough to protect Sophia? I am sending my own mother to jail. What kind of daughter does that?
Rachel came to Susan's house that evening, finding her still on the couch.
Susan, you are protecting Sophia. That's what a mother does. I know, but it's my own mother. I never thought it would come to this. She used a child's face to scam people. That's not a mother. That's a predator. Sophia's face, her smile. The day she called me mommy, that's what I am fighting for. You are right. I'll testify. I won't let her hurt Sophia again. The agency will back you, and I'll be there every step.
Susan held the photo of Sophia and nodded. The guilt didn't vanish, but it was no longer the loudest voice. She dialed the Attorney General's office, ready to put the final nail in Betty's case. Within a week, the Attorney General's office filed 3 charges: identity misuse, foster system tampering, and wire fraud. An investigator delivered the papers to Betty's apartment. She took them with a cold stare.
This is a misunderstanding. I am the victim here, punished for trying to help.
Susan got the court date via email that night. 7 weeks until the hearing. In her home office, Susan assembled the evidence binder: campaign screenshots, text messages, Rachel's fraud report.
They think I'll crumble. I've survived worse than a courtroom.
Betty's lawyer advised her to cooperate, but she refused.
I'll tell the judge exactly what kind of mother Susan really is.
Susan counted down the days. By the night before the hearing, she'd memorized every lie. The morning of the hearing, Susan placed Sophia's adoption photo in her bag and left for the courthouse. Before heading to the courthouse, Susan's phone buzzed with a forwarded email from a friend.
Marie never forwards things. This must be serious.
The attached message was from Betty to a longtime friend. The subject line read, "Susan's mistake." Betty wrote, "I've started a campaign that will catch the foster agency's attention. Once they see I labeled Sophia as a cancer kid, They'll pull her from Susan's house faster than she can scream.
She wasn't scamming for money. She was trying to get Sophia taken from me.
The message continued. Once the agency opens a case, Susan will lose her. Then she'll realize she needs her real family.
All this time, I thought she just wanted to embarrass me. She wanted to break us.
Susan's hands shook. The guilt she had carried for weeks evaporated, replaced by a cold, furious clarity.
You planned this from the start. You wanted my daughter gone.
She saved the email, grabbed her bag, and walked out the door. The courthouse wasn't just a hearing anymore. It was a battlefield. The courtroom was packed with tension as Judge Morrison ascended the bench. Susan sat rigidly, the printed email folded in her hand. Susan Reinhardt took the stand, her voice steady despite the trembling in her fingers. She laid the email before the court.
Your Honor, I received this today. She wrote, once they see I labeled Sophia as a cancer kid, they'll pull her from Susan's house.
That email was private. This is a setup. She hacked my account.
Miss Reinhardt, this court has heard enough. The message is clear and its intent undeniable. I am granting a no-contact order. You are to have zero communication with Susan or Sophia, effective immediately.
You can't do this. I am her grandmother.
The bailiff stepped forward as the judge's gavel fell. Betty's protest echoed as she was escorted out, her glare fixed on Susan.
She can't come near us now. Sophia is safe. This is temporary, Susan, but now we have everything we need to end this for good.
3 weeks after the no-contact order, the prosecutor offered a plea deal. Betty would plead guilty to a misdemeanor.
I accept the deal. Sophia doesn't need to testify.
Betty stood before the judge, her defiance finally muted as the plea was entered.
Misdemeanor, 200 hours community service, and full restitution. This case is closed.
2 weeks later, Betty began her community service on a roadside cleanup crew. Passers-by stared. She kept her head down, picking up litter with shaking hands. A photo appeared online. Susan stared at it briefly, then set her phone down.
That's my mother, and I feel nothing but exhaustion.
The restitution would arrive later, but the emotional cost was already paid in full. She stood and walked toward the courthouse. The adoption was still ahead. That was the only fight that mattered. Rachel spent the morning at her computer, writing the recommendation letter that could tip the scale for Susan's adoption. When Susan arrived, the letter lay on the desk in a clean white envelope, her name handwritten across the front.
This is it. The letter that could make me Sophia's mother forever.
Rachel had written, Susan Reinhardt acted with immediate and uncompromising protective instinct when she discovered the fraudulent campaign targeting her foster child.
She wrote that I protected Sophia, that I didn't hesitate.
The letter described the stolen photos, the fake cancer plea, and Susan's painful decision to testify against her own mother.
The judge will see you as I see you, a mother who fights for her child. I was so terrified the agency would take Sophia because of my family. You made it clear that I am not my mother.
Rachel sealed the final copy and handed it to the clerk for the adoption hearing file.
This letter is my shield. No one will question my commitment now.
At the kitchen table, Susan opened the adoption ceremony form. The guest list line waited.
My family. I should write my mother's name, but I can't.
She wrote Mom and then drew a sharp line through it. Then Dad. Crossed out. Every biological relative followed.
These people don't belong in Sophia's life. They never will.
She set the ruined list aside and began a new one. Marie, Elena, Jess, David, her true support system.
Marie, the adoption is set. Can you be there? I know it's short notice, but I need my real family there.
On the living room floor, Sophia sat with her dolls, humming a tune she made up herself. Susan watched her from the table, the notepad in her hand. No relative would ever pull them apart again.
3 friends and a coworker. That's my family. That's enough.
The morning of the adoption, Susan buttoned Sophia into a soft pink dress, the same one they'd bought weeks earlier for the occasion.
Do I look like a real daughter?
You look like my daughter, and soon everyone will know it.
They arrived at the courthouse just as the morning sun hit the columns. Inside, the hallway smelled of floor wax and old paper. But Sophia only saw the faces of 3 women and 1 man waiting with smiles.
You all came. I can't believe it. No blood relatives. Just the people who chose us.
They sat on the wooden bench outside the courtroom, Sophia's small hand tucked inside Susan's.
Are they going to say no?
No, sweetheart. They're going to say yes. And then we'll never be apart.
A deputy opened the courtroom door, and Susan walked in with Sophia's hand in hers. Judge Morrison looked up and smiled.
Miss Reinhardt, are you ready to make Sophia a permanent part of your life?
Your Honor, I've been her mother since the first night she called me Mommy. Nothing will ever change that.
The recommendation letter describes exceptional protective capacity. The court is satisfied.
The judge signed the decree with a solid stroke, then slid the papers across the bench. Susan lifted Sophia onto her lap, and together their hands guided the pen.
There, it's done. You are my daughter now.
I always was.
Sophia's arms wrapped around Susan's neck, and the courtroom dissolved into the sound of quiet crying from the gallery.
It is my honor to officially pronounce this adoption final. Congratulations.
The no-contact order, now permanent until Sophia's 18th birthday, stood as the final legal wall. Betty Reinhardt completed her community service, picking trash along a highway shoulder.
This is what I get for trying to keep my family together. Humiliation in the gutter.
The restitution check for $14,000 was processed and mailed to the State Fraud Restitution Fund.
She paid the price. It can't undo what she did, but it closes the case.
One evening, Susan sat on her couch and opened her phone's contact list. She scrolled to Mom and stared at the name for a long moment.
You are not my mother anymore. You never really were.
Then she deleted the contact. The screen flashed "Contact deleted," and the name vanished. She set the phone down, walked to the window, and breathed in the evening air.
Sophia is mine. I am hers. No one can break that now.
6 months after the adoption, Susan sat at a small desk during Sophia's fall school registration. The form asked for emergency contacts and family members.
Family. That word used to mean obligation. Now it means choice.
She took the pen and wrote the same 4 names she had chosen for the adoption ceremony. Marie, Elena, Jess, David. Not a single blood relative made the list. The school secretary looked at the form, then back at Susan with a brief nod. Through the window in the hallway, Sophia's laughter echoed from the playground.
Mom, watch this.
She calls me Mom as easily as breathing now. That's the only proof I need.
Susan leaned against the doorframe, watching Sophia climb the jungle gym. There was no space on any form for a grandmother who had tried to break them. And that was the point. That evening, after the school forms were filed and dinner was cleared, the living room became a cocoon of lamplight and quiet.
Read the one about the rabbit again.
You've heard it 100 times.
That's why I love it.
Susan read until Sophia's voice faded into soft breathing, her small body heavy against Susan's side. On the coffee table lay a photo album, its pages worn from being opened nearly every week. One page held a snapshot from the adoption day, Sophia in her pink dress, beaming, holding Marie's hand. Susan carried Sophia to bed and tucked the blanket under her chin. The nightlight cast a soft glow on the crayon drawing taped to the wall, 2 figures labeled Mom and Me.
This is what we fought for. Every court date, every tear, every impossible decision.
She closed the door gently, and the house settled into the deep, uncracked silence of safety. Susan stood in the hallway long after Sophia fell asleep, the silence around her heavier than noise ever was.
A year ago, my mother used my daughter's face to hurt us. Tonight, that feels like someone else's nightmare.
The phone call from Miss Rachel, the frozen campaign, the courtroom. They had all led here, to a quiet door she never had to lock. Betty was gone, her schemes reduced to community service and a blocked number. And here, inside these walls, a child slept safe.
I chose to be a mother first, daughter second. That decision built this life.
She remembered the adoption letter, the crossed-out names, the 4 friends who cheered when the judge signed.
I am your mom. I always will be.
Then she turned and walked to the living room, where the photo albums still lay open on the table. Outside the next morning, though, Years seemed to fold into one. Susan and Sophia walked the path to the park, hand in hand, their silhouettes small against the rising sun. No name on a form could define family more than the quiet steps they took together. Later that week, Sophia sat at the kitchen table with a box of crayons, her tongue peeking out as she drew.
Mom, look. I drew our family.
She held up the paper. 2 stick figures, one tall with yellow hair, one small with dark curls, stood beneath a lopsided sun. Above them, in wobbly letters, she had written "My family." Susan came up behind her and wrapped her arms around Sophia's shoulders, pressing a kiss into her hair.
That's the most beautiful picture I've ever seen.
I am going to put it on the fridge so everybody sees.
She ran to the kitchen, the paper flapping, and pinned it right in the center with a sunflower magnet. The drawing stayed there for months, a daily reminder that the only names that mattered were the ones they had chosen. Sometimes the family you make is the one that saves you, and for Susan and Sophia, that family was complete.